What I'm going to do, everyone, is I'm going to start off with just a couple of slides, and I want to make this real quick because we do want to get to the demo. But I wanted to set some context for you all, so you know where this product lies within our set of offerings and how it relates to what you're going to see later on. So. In terms of what I'm going to talk about today, again, real quick, I'm going to give you an intro to Oracle Cloud, what that looks like, how we fit into it. I'm going to talk real briefly about Oracle's mobile platform, which is what I'm a product manager for. And then what we're going to do is we're going to launch into the demo, and this is going to take the lion's share of our time today, where we're going to create a RESTful API and then build a mobile app to consume it. And we're going to be using our mobile cloud service and our mobile application accelerator, which are both part of our mobile platform. So without further ado, let me just talk real briefly about Oracle's public cloud services. We are one of the premier providers of cloud services on the planet. Those cloud services basically come in one of three categories. They include software as a service, or SaaS, platform as a service, or PaaS, and infrastructure as a service, which is called IaaS. And so if you look at those different categories, software as a service are things like our human capital management, our, my slides want to move on their own. It includes our enterprise resource planning, our CRM, all of these different software as a service offerings. Then in our platform as a service, you have things like our database as a service, our integration cloud service, and our mobile cloud service, which is what I'm going to be concentrating on today, which is one of my products. And then finally, you have infrastructure as a service, which is really the bare metal being provided for things like compute and storage. So that's the Oracle Cloud. Again, we're one of the largest providers on the planet. We're one of the fastest growing cloud providers. And really an extensive set of offerings, and today we're going to be talking about the mobile piece of that. So let's start off by talking a little bit about just what the Oracle Mobile Cloud Platform includes. So on the left-hand side of this slide, we have client-side frameworks for developing mobile applications. These include our mobile application framework and our JavaScript extension toolkit, which we call MAF and JET, respectively. These are both cross-platform development tools. You write once, you run on multiple platforms, including iOS and Android. Then we have our mobile cloud service, which is an enterprise-grade mobile backend as a service. If you're not familiar with what a mobile backend as a service is, it's a pretty well-known acronym that basically describes a cloud service that exposes RESTful web services to client-side applications and includes certain services on top of that, like data synchronization, security, analytics, things like that. And then over on the far right, this is our mobile application accelerator. And this is what I'm going to be demoing today in conjunction with mobile cloud service. And what this does is this allows you to create mobile applications without coding. So this is for who we call the citizen developers or our business users, although power users can use it as well if they want to, really put together a mobile application very quickly. So in terms of where mobile cloud service fits, on the left-hand side of this diagram, you can see that we have all sorts of different mobile devices, all sorts of different ways to develop mobile applications. In the middle, you have our mobile cloud service. Mobile cloud service connects to your back-end systems. They could be on-premise package solutions. They could be custom applications. They could be other cloud applications, right? We connect to all of those. We expose those APIs out to mobile applications, and we are completely agnostic in terms of what applications can consume our APIs. So I talked a little bit about the client-side frameworks that we offer. You're also going to see our mobile application accelerator, but our mobile cloud service is completely agnostic. You can bring whatever client-side tooling you want to develop mobile applications. So again, Oracle Max is one of the things that we're going to be demoing today. It's about building and deploying mobile applications in a faster and simpler way with no code required. So now that we've kind of set the table for what we're going to be demoing today and what these products are all about, what I'm going to do is I'm going to launch into a demonstration. We're going to go into Mobile Cloud Service, and we're going to create an API, and then we're going to go into our Mobile Application Accelerator, or MAX, and we're going to consume that API. We're going to build a little application. So now I'm sharing my web browser, and I'm just going to refresh this. And this is the landing page for Mobile Cloud Service. Again, this is our mobile backend as a service hosted in the cloud. It's part of our one of our platform as a service offerings. You can see there's a number of different things that I can do here. Now, I'm not going to explain all of the different functions that you can do in Mobile Cloud Service. That's kind of beyond the scope of what we're doing here. So initially, we're going to focus on creating an API. So we're going to head into the API section. And you can see that along the left-hand side, I have all sorts of APIs that have either been created or are in the process of being created. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on New API. And you have two choices here. The first choice, which just says API, is our traditional API designer. What we're going to do, however, is we're going to use our new Express API functionality. And what the Express API functionality does is it helps you design APIs specifically for being used with our mobile application accelerator. So I'm going to click on Express API. What we'll call this DZone CRM demo. And the reason I'm calling it CRM is the data that we're going to be creating, the API that we're going to be creating, is going to be around a CRM, sort of a sales CRM theme. Okay. So let's see, we'll call this DZone demo. Okay, so I've provided an API display name. I've got an API name that's been provided for me. This is what's going to show up in the catalog. And I'll go ahead and click on the Create button. So now what Mobile Cloud Service has done is it's created the definition of that API for me. And now what we want to do is we want to go ahead and go through and define what that API is. So what I want to do, you can see that right here, I just have the information that I've entered to create that API. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the Resources tab on the left-hand side. Now, I don't have any resources defined yet, so the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and define a new resource. And this is a little bit different from our traditional API development because traditionally you deal with endpoints. And in our Express API, by dealing with resources as opposed to endpoints, you tend to be more what we call business object focused. And this is not only a little bit easier to understand from the developer standpoint or the person who's creating the API standpoint, but it's also a standard that our mobile application accelerator can understand and consume. So we're going to create a new resource. I'm going to call that resource opportunity. Again, we're going to be using sort of a sales CRM theme for this demonstration. And the other thing that I want to point out to you on the bottom half here is that I have a checkbox which says, do I also want to expose a collection of these resources? So we're going to be defining an opportunity resource, but we're also going to want an API call that will return a collection of those resources. We're going to call that opportunities, plural. So I'm going to go ahead and create that. And so now you can see that, that I have a list of my resources, which I only have one so far, which is opportunity. Opportunity is selected, and you can see that that I have some overall information like the display name and the name of the resource. I also have on the right-hand side here some important bits of information, including child resources, which we'll go into a little bit later, reference resources, which we'll also talk about in a little bit, any sort of parent resources, and finally, any sort of methods that are currently attached to this resource. So one of the first things that I want to do now is I want to actually create some fields for this resource. I have a shell of a resource created, but what is in that resource exactly? If I click on fields, this is going to show me what sort of entities or fields are represented as part of that resource. So you can see that by default, every resource is going to have a field called ID of type string. So why don't we go ahead and create some new fields. I'll click on new field. We'll have a name, which is going to be a string. We'll go ahead and do something like revenue, which will make this. You can see we have a number of different choices in terms of type that we can choose. For revenue, we'll make that a number. We're going to have something called win percentage. This will be integer. We'll have a region for where these opportunities are coming from. We'll have a sales stage. This will be what stage the opportunity is in terms of when we're closing our sale. We'll have an expected close date. This we're going to make a date. And finally, our last item will be products. And that'll be string. Okay. So now what we've done is we've defined some fields for our opportunity resource. Now let's click over to the Methods tab. And you can see that what we have here is we have a number of methods that have been created for us already, right? So we have things like finding an opportunity, listing a collection of the opportunities. We can create an opportunity, edit, and delete. You can see the types of REST calls that are utilized to execute these functions, and you'll also see part of the URL that is defined to execute them, as well as a description of what those operations do. Okay. So let's go ahead and enter just a piece of sample data. I want to show you what this looks like. So one of the nice things about being able to mock up these APIs is if you can enter some sample data and actually use them before they're hooked up to your backend. So we're going to demonstrate that now. We're going to create a new row of sample data. I'm going to provide an ID. And we'll do a name. Sacramento Civic Center. Provide a value for the revenue. We'll say it's 150,000. The win percentage we'll say is 20%. The region is going to be North America. We'll say the sales stage is in the presentation phase. And we'll say that we're looking to close on November 30th. Let's say the products are cables, switches, and routers. Okay. So I'll go ahead and save this. And now you can see that that in the sample data, I have a row of sample data. I can go ahead and create more rows of sample data if I want. Given our limited time today, we'll just go with this one example. Okay. So now let's go back to our methods. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this list opportunities method. So I want to show you this. So the first thing I want to show you is that one of the things that we have an option to do is to add query parameters to this get method. And in fact, we want to do that. I want a query parameter because I want to be able to query based on region and sales stage. So I'm going to call this region. Spelling is going to be region as well. Data type is a string. I'm going to have another query parameter, which which is going to be the sales stage. Okay, so this allows us to identify or create and define these query parameters, which will be able to pass to this specific method, which is the list opportunities method. And we'll see this when we actually go to build our application that we're going to use this. So I'm going to go ahead and actually before I click OK, what I am going to do is I'm also going to show you. So right here is how we're in a sense tweaking the request. You see, I also have an option here on the left-hand side to click on the response. And what this allows me to do is to tweak the response that comes back from this method. So you can see that by default, I'm just going to return the complete set of opportunity resources, right? So all of the available fields. But I don't necessarily need all of the available fields in my list coming back, right? Certainly, I probably want all the fields when I actually get the individual resource. But if I'm just getting a list of the resources, maybe I want to shape that so that I'm not getting all of those fields. So, for instance, let's say I don't necessarily need the list of products when I'm just getting a list of the opportunities, right? So I'm going to go ahead and remove that. And so now, when I go ahead and execute this API call, I will get all of these selected fields, but I will not get the products, okay? So I'm going to click OK, and that's going to save those methods. And now let's also, let's see, if we click on Edit Opportunity, okay, one of the things I wanted to show you here is that the request for Edit Opportunity currently allows you to receive the ID field, okay? So this is one instance where you want to actually shape the request, right? Because I don't want people to be able to modify the ID of this opportunity. That is immutable once it's created. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shape the opportunity resource for the request. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove ID. And this way people can't pass the ID to this method. So again, this is an example of shaping the request. We've already seen that we can shape the response as well. So this is our opportunity resource. Let's go ahead and create another resource. This resource we're going to call account. Go ahead and create that. Put our accounts in for the plural list of those resources. Okay. Let's go ahead and add our fields just like we did last time. So for the account, we're going to have a name for the account. It's going to be a string. We'll have a website. Address, city, state, country, and region. Okay. So I have my account resource now created. See on the left-hand side, I've got opportunity and account. What I'm going to do now is we're going to go back to the overview for opportunity. So remember, when I was showing you this overview, I mentioned child resources and reference resources. So what we're going to talk about now with respect to opportunity is reference resources. And what I'm going to do, first, I should tell you what a reference resource is. So a reference resource is going to be another resource that's embedded within this resource. Okay? So in other words, when I go to fields, I'm going to create another field. It's going to be called account. And the type is going to be a reference. Okay? It's going to ask me to select that reference. I'm going to select the account, and I'll go ahead and create it. Okay. So what this means now is that when I go and retrieve an opportunity, the account is going to come back with that, with every request. And we can see that if we now go to methods. Let's go check on our list method. Okay. And look at our response. Okay. Now, when you look at our available fields, you now see that we have a number of fields with the account prefix that we could use. Now, they haven't been added to our selected fields yet because we've shaped our resources. So if we want those added, we would have to add those manually. But I just wanted to show you that you now have these additional fields available to you from that other resource because it is an embedded resource with our opportunity. Okay. So let's now go to the find method. I'm going to show you the find method as well. Okay, so we go back to our methods. Let's click on the find opportunity. And let's go to our responses. Okay. Let's shape our response here. Okay. Because for our finding the opportunity, what we're going to do, well, again, I just wanted to show you that that what happens is when we find the opportunity, you can see that all of these fields are going to come back with that find opportunity. And this is what we want, right? Because when we find an opportunity, we are looking for a specific opportunity, and we want all that data to come back with it. Okay. So that is an embedded resource. What I want to show you now is what we call a child resource. So again, there are two different kinds of these related resources. We've got child resources and we've got reference resources. So we've added a reference resource. And again, what this reference resource means is that the account is embedded within that opportunity. Now let's go ahead and create a child resource. And a child resource is related, but you have to retrieve it with a separate call. So I'm going to do a new child resource. Display name is going to be notes. So note collection will be notes. And again, what we do is the same thing that we've done before. We click on fields. We have some fields here, so we'll have the comment. We'll have when it's created. This would be a date field. And we'll have user. This will be the user who created that note. Okay. So I'm going to save that. You can see that the note is indented from the opportunity because it is a child resource. And if we look at the methods for note, and you look at the URLs here for calling it, you can see that the URL includes the opportunity and the specific opportunity ID, and then the note underneath that for the URL. And again, what this means is that you have to make a separate request to get the notes, unlike accounts, which are included in the resources that were returned. Okay. So this gives you a really good look at how easy it is to put together these APIs. The next step that we would actually do after we define these APIs is we would go to our implementation, and this is where we would actually upload our code, which would implement those RESTful web services that we just created. Okay. Now I'm not going to do that right now. I actually have the implementation uploaded for this API already. So what we're going to do is we're going to switch over to Max, and I'm going to go through the demo of how you would now create an application that would consume the APIs that we just defined. So I'm going to go back to Applications, to our dashboard for Mobile Cloud Service, excuse me. And down here where it says Mobile Apps, when I click on Mobile Apps, this is going to take us into Oracle Max, which again is our mobile application accelerator. So you can see that I've got a list of the applications that I've already created. What I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to create a new application. This application is DZone CRM demo. Okay, we have what this is doing now is this is guiding us through a wizard for creating the initial landing page for our application. You can see I have a number of different choices that I can make here in terms of what kind of layouts do I want for my application. So I am going to just start with a simple screen. The title is going to be Dashboard. And for the content, you can see I have a number of different options to choose here. I'm actually going to choose the dashboard content type. When I click Next, it's ready to create my application, so I'm going to click on Create. And now I'm into the design. Okay, so this is all web-based. I'm accessing this through the cloud. Just to give you a quick intro and orientation to what you're seeing here. So on the left-hand side, I have a number of different tabs that I'll be explaining throughout this demo. The one that's highlighted right now is our components list. You can see I have a number of components that I can drag and drop onto my screen. Everything from forms to cards. I've got some really nice visualizations and charts that we're going to see, but all of your options are over here on the left-hand side, including things like map widgets as well. So what I'm going to do, yes.
I just want to let you know we are about halfway through right now.
Thank you very much, Chris.
Absolutely. Okay,
so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to drag a piece onto our tile here. But before we do that, what I want to do is I'm clicking on this tile, and I'm going to do a little bit of layout first. Right? So you can see that when I click on this tile, I've got a number of different options in terms of the dimensions and the content layout. So what I want to do is I want this tile to go all the way across the top. And for the content layout, what I want is I want this divided into 3 columns. Okay, so go ahead and select that under the content layout. You can see that now I have this tile stretched across the top. I've got 3 columns, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag some widgets onto it. So I'm going to use the metric widget here. I'm going to drag that onto each one of these columns. Okay. And what we're going to do here, I'm going to bind these widgets to data as we go along. Some people like to lay out the entire screen first and then do the data binding. That's perfectly fine as well. You can do that. I kind of like, as I lay out my widgets, to bind them to data. Now, there's a couple different methodologies for binding them to data. On the right-hand side, you can see I have this add data selection here. This will take me through a wizard that we call a quick start. If I didn't want to go through the quick start methodology, I can just click on this icon, and there's a more manual process for doing the data binding. But I like the quick start, so I'm going to click add data. And the first thing that it's going to do is it's going to ask me to select a service. Right? So this is where I go ahead and add one of the services that I have already created. Okay, so here's a list at my service catalog. The CRM Express is the service that we went ahead and I showed you how to create. This is the one I created ahead of time. So I'm going to select that. You can see that I now have the different business objects that we created. So I walked you through creating the account and the opportunity. We also have a statistics business object here, which is more summary data. And this is the business object that we're going to choose to bind to these widgets. So we're going to choose statistics. I believe I was on the 90-day count, so I'm going to choose that as the value. You can see I can choose a live data preview, which will actually go out to the backend service and display what those values are. Click next. Finish. You can see that I have bound this particular widget to some data. The other thing that I want to do, and we're going to go through, we're going to bind all of these to data, but I want to show you some of the what we're going to do in terms of how we modify the look and feel. So this is going to be our 30-day opportunities. So we're going to give these a color of green, and the label is going to be our 30-day opportunities. Okay. For the middle ones, we're going to give these a color yellow, and the label for this is going to be our 60-day opportunities. And then our final one here, we're going to put those in red. These are our 90-day opportunities. So let's go ahead and bind these other widgets, and we're going to do this in exactly the same way. This is going to be our 30-day, and this is going to be our 60-day. You can see this is all drag and drop and wizard oriented. Okay, so now we have the top part of our dashboard with the number of opportunities that are 30 days out, 60 days out, and 90 days out. So let's go ahead and add some other items here. So what we're going to do is we are going to create a new tile, and the title of this tile is going to be revenue by region. Okay. This is also, we want this to stretch across the screen. Okay. What we're going to do is from our palette, we're going to take a bar chart. So the bar chart, and let's make that a stacked bar chart. And then let's bind some data to that. So our business object for this is actually going to be opportunities. We're going to have revenue as a value on the y-axis. Our categories are going to be, on the x-axis, are going to be by region. And the colors in the series are going to be by ID. Okay. And let's add another tile. And what this will be is, I'm going to call this North America. We're going to show the opportunities by region. So what we're going to do is we're going to drag here one of our gauges called our LED gauge. Drag that on. Okay. Bind that. Also is going to be our statistics. And since that's North America, this will be our count of opportunities in North America. Now, the other thing that you'll notice here about the LED gauge is that I have this concept of thresholds. Right? What I can do here is I can add a threshold that's going to be for our 90 days out. This is just going to be color coding. I'm going to do a yellow, and the threshold is going to be 60 days out. And then the threshold for the green is going to be our 30 days out. So you can see that it's already, as I'm defining it, it's already going out to the back end. It's getting the data. And because 6 is is underneath the threshold, it's showing as green. Okay. So we now have our dashboard put together. The next thing that we want to do is we want to go ahead and create an opportunities screen. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on dashboard. I'm going to click on the tab over here, which allows us to see some information about this screen, and in particular gives us the option to create a new screen. So I'm going to create a new screen. This is going to be for opportunities, and start off with just a simple landing screen. And the type that we want, let's see what type of screen we should use. We'll just keep it simple. This will be opportunities. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a list, and this, and finish. Okay. So now we're working on our opportunities screen. Okay. So let's see. Again, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to map our data. We're going to choose this one with 3 values in the graphic. And you can see, again, we get to choose which business objects we're going to be pulling this from. This is opportunities, so we're going to choose the opportunities business object. So let's see, for the graphic, let's do win percentage. For the title, this will be the description. And then we'll do revenue and which regions. Again, we can do live data preview. And it's not coming up right now. I'll tell you why. It's because this win percentage is not mapped to a graphical icon. We're gonna fix this. We're gonna finish this. It's just gonna reconnect me. Okay. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna look at the properties for this list. Okay. And you can see that the this graphic label here is listed as an image type. We want to make that a status name. Okay. So now we're going to map that to opportunities since we lost our connection. And again, this is just 1%. Region, revenue, and description. Okay. So you can see that we have our opportunities list here. And what I want to do next is I want to add a detail screen, right? So this is a list of items, but what I want to do is I want to be able to have an action that will take me into the individual details of this screen. So I'm going to turn on my quick start. We're going to add a detail screen. And for the detail screen, we're going to make this a little bit more complicated. We're going to have top, bottom, and a couple of tabs in between. Okay. I've seen this issue with the screen title. Just need to refresh it. And here's the screen title. So this is going to be our opportunity. We're going to show the details on one of the tabs. And then for the other tab, we'll have a count. Okay. So the content, what we're going to do is we are going to have for the bottom, we're going to have form. Right? So we'll choose this item that has the summary at the top and the form at the bottom. I've finished that. Now what I can do is I can go to that detail screen. And what we're going to do is for that top component, for that summary, we're going to use our card widget. So I'm going to drag that card widget over. Add data. This is going to be coming from the opportunity. Okay. And let's see, the title will be the description of that opportunity. Actually, let's not do that. Yeah, okay. So for the card detail, let's actually draw from the account. And let's do the name. So this is a nice example of us being able to draw the name of the account for the opportunity. The subtitle 1, what we'll do is we'll do the status of the opportunity. This would be the sales stage that it's in. And then for subtitle 2, we'll look at revenue. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and click next. And the thing I want to show you here is right now what's happening, because we're going from a list view into a detail view, we have this concept of the query parameters being mapped. Now on the left-hand side, you can see we have a number of different tabs here, which include things that we can map. You know, items from the current screen, the application user, the parent screen. And you can see that because this query parameter is shaded purple, it's coming from the parent screen. And Max was already smart enough to say, hey, I know because of the way the API is constructed that you want to pass this ID down from the parent list view into the detail view. So it's all set up. Go ahead and finish that. You can see that the card has the information here. And now what we can do is for the details, let's go ahead and add some form fields. Okay. You can see that for the labels, let's do something like created date. We'll add another one called expected close. This would be a date. And we'll add another one for region. Okay. So this is the bottom part of our form. Okay. And we've got the top part of our form. And what we're gonna do now is we can now click on account, and for the account we are also going to do a form. The properties here. We will have a name for the account. We'll have a website. An address. And because we're running out of time, we'll leave it at that. So now let's go and let's bind these items to data. And for the account, what we're going to do is you see under the suggested objects, we have a couple of different options here. Right? We can choose account, we can choose note, we can choose opportunity. We're going to choose opportunity because remember, the account is actually an embedded object with opportunity. So here's opportunity. As we scroll down, you see that we can choose from account. So for the website, we drag that over. For the address, we actually have a formatted address form. When I click next, you can see that Max has again identified that I need to pass the parent screen ID in as a query parameter, and I can go ahead and finish. Okay. So the last part that I want to tweak on this screen is I do not want to have this this graph. So let's go ahead and remove this graphic. Oh, no, I accidentally removed my my card. I'll put the card back. Okay. So we don't want the graphic. We just want the title, subtitle 1, and subtitle 2. Let's quickly find our data from opportunity. Do this just the description, region, and okay, so there we go. So one of the things I want to show you now is, so as you're going through and creating your application, you want to be able to test it, right? So this icon right here in the upper right-hand side of the screen allows me to test it within my browser. So you see that I have the dashboard that we've created shows the different metrics, shows the revenue by region in our graph, shows our LED widget, which is the number of opportunities in North America. But what I haven't done is I haven't set up how exactly do I get to opportunities. Right? I created the opportunities screen. How am I going to get there? So I'm going to go back to the designer. And I'm going to click on the left-hand side. You see we have a screen flow tab selection. When I click on screen flow, what it'll do is it'll show you all of the screens that you have created as well as the flow that they go into. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to double-click on dashboard. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an action from one of our widgets. So one of our widgets which shows these opportunities, I'm going to click on action. I'm going to add an action, which is going to be a tab. And what we're going to do is we're going to navigate to a screen. The screen that we're going to navigate to is opportunities. And we're going to have a navigation data mapper. And what we want to do is, because we're going from 30 days, right, we're going to do count 30 day, and we're going to do close in as the parameter that we're passing. Okay. Go ahead and finish. Save. I'm going to do the same thing for the other widgets. This one is going to be also a navigation, also going to opportunities. But what we're going to do is when we navigate, this is going to be the 60 days. And finally, the 90 days. So all three of these are going to be going to opportunities, but they'll be passing in a different parameter for the closing. So I'll save this. Let's go ahead and test it again now. I'm testing my application. I click on the widget. You can see that now it takes me into the opportunities screen with the list of opportunities that are 30 days out. When I click on one of those opportunities, you can see it takes me into the detail widget with the data associated with that opportunity, including the account. You can see the account information came with that. So the next thing that I want to just show you briefly is how we test this on a phone. but actually, before I do that, let me show you a couple of different features of the preview and the tester here. Number one, I can change the orientation of the phone. Right now, this has an iOS look. I can switch between iOS and Android for your preview. And again, what I want to do now that we've finished with our designing of our dashboard, we've hooked it up to opportunities. What we want to do now is we want to test this on a real device. Okay, so the icon up here on the right where it says publish, I click on that. It says I'm done working on the application. Do I want to publish it? I'm going to say yes. It's building my application. So it's built my application. And what I want to do is I want to test this on my device. And in order to test this on your device, there's a really handy app. It's the Mobile Application Accelerator app that you can download to your device. And what it'll allow you to do is scan a QR code. And you can then download that, that application to your device. And in fact, I'm going to show you that right now. So I've got the QR code. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch over to share my device. So let's see if we can see how seamless this will be. Okay. Hopefully you can see my device here, which I have connected. This is my iPad. I've got the Max app up. Now you can see that that I've already got a couple of applications in the Max app that I can test if I want. But what I want to do is I want to test the app that we've just created. Right? So I'm going to go ahead and click on the plus sign. And what this does is this allows me to scan that QR code from my device. It downloads the module, and now it's going to ask me to log in. I'm just going to stop sharing for just a moment while I log in. Bear with me just a moment here. I'm going to log in, and then it's going to allow me to get into that application. Okay, so it's logged us into the application on my device. I can go ahead and look at that dashboard screen. I can click on the widget that had the 30-day opportunities. You can see that the opportunities has a list has come up. I can click on the opportunity. It'll take me into the details for that item, right, including the account information. So there you have it. In roughly an hour, you've gotten a quick introduction to the Oracle mobile platform. You've seen how to create an Express API in mobile cloud service, and then move into our mobile application accelerator to consume that data. Let me just now. I want to just share some final things with you from our slide deck. And there's just a couple things I want to leave you with. So the first is that we have an incredible amount of information available to you on our YouTube channel. Everything you want to know about mobile cloud service and the Oracle mobile platform, go to our YouTube channel. We have got hours upon hours of videos and tutorials, really amazing content put together by our team again, best place to check for more information. But in terms of more information, we have a number of different places that you can look at. Here's the URL to the YouTube channel that I mentioned. You can also go to cloud.oracle.com/mobile to get a trial. And of course, we have Twitter, we have LinkedIn. So please, for more information, check out any of these places.